Hello my gorgeous loves out there and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite fall palettes. I do this every year and showcase all my palettes that have the best fall color story. But before we get into this video, if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Bri and I am just a crazy lover of all things beauty, and I like to post a lot of fun, colorful makeup content. I like to do a lot on indie makeup, so if that is what you're into, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I'd love to have you here. But with that being said, let's get into this video. Can you guys believe we're about to go into the fall season? It feels so crazy to me, especially because it's still super hot here in Texas. It's still like 100-degree weather every day. It's crazy. I feel like it's going to be a while before it cools down here. It's been like one of the hottest summers I've ever experienced here. So I'm just praying for cooler weather. Now I am filming this a little early in September. It's not like officially fall until the end of September, but I am pre-filming. I got traveling stuff going on, so I'm trying to pack in all the videos at once and film multiple videos. So that is why there is no fall decor in the background. It will probably not happen until the end of this month, into October. Anyways, so I have 15 palettes to mention. This is usually my biggest category when it comes to like my favorite palettes, because fall color stories are my favorite. It's when the grungy makeup comes out, like the tones. So I just couldn't narrow it down any smaller than 15. Honestly, I could have mentioned so many more. I do also have 2 honorable mentions as well. I'll tell you guys that at the end of the video. So I think we should just jump in. So I'll start off with the palettes that I really love for the mattes, like the fall color mattes that are in this palette more than the shimmer. So I'll start with those. So I have this one from Made by Mitchell. This one is the, I think, Feet on the Ground palette, and I find this so beautiful because it's a very grungy color story. There's a lot of greens in here. We also have a little bit of purple, and then there's these like yellow tones. It's beautiful. Now I really like the mattes most of all on this palette. The shimmers here are a little bit more smooth, traditional, not overly sparkly. They don't really enhance texture though. So if that's the kind of shimmers you like, then this would be a great palette. But I just love the matte options in here, and I think that mattes are really easy to work with. They're buildable, blendable, and if I need some kind of grungy green matte, this is definitely a go-to palette for me. And then the other palette that has wonderful autumnal mattes. We're gonna try to switch up the words here, not only say fall, but the Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics. Now Melt has a insanely pigmented matte formula, which I adore. I love a lot of pigmentation with my mattes. So that's why I usually gravitate to Melt for the matte formula. Their shimmers are so. They're usually a little lackluster, and there's only 2 shimmers in here. So really, I'm going to this palette for the mattes. There's all these beautiful shades here. We have some like more warmy neutrals, leaning a little yellow tone. And then we have these beautiful, you know, dingy green shades. A gorgeous matte black. I always appreciate a matte black. So I really like also pairing this with other palettes that have more stunning shimmers, or all shimmer palettes. So then the next like category I put together is like smaller color stories that are a little bit more curated. I really love this one right here. This is the Flora Story palette from Ensley. This was a collab with Makeup Just for Fun, and when I reviewed this palette, I was like, this is gonna be so perfect for the fall season, and for my more nudie lovers, my lovers of more muted colors. These are just really beautiful, like muted greens, some muted like orchid shades. But don't you just see fall in this? I don't know, like when I see a lot of greens like this, pops of purples, pops of plum, like all of those colors make me think of the fall season. I mean, I'm basically wearing those colors in this top right here, and I like that it's narrowed down. It's easy to think of looks. You could go green, you could go plummy, mix them together. You have a little bit of teal in here, this beautiful shifty iridescent like greeny gold shade, and then it has a good amount of depth because these 2 shades actually look darker on the eyes than they look in the pan, which is surprising. That doesn't normally happen. Usually it looks darker in the pan, goes lighter on the eyes, but these are surprisingly deeper and nice and pigmented. So I think this is such a cute little compact palette. Then I have these ones that are 12 pan palettes, but they're like condensed in a smaller size palette. But These two right here from Ace Beauté, I think this was their fall release from last year. I can't fully remember, but I mean, they're perfect. Now, this one right here is Aura. This one leans more on the purple plummy side, but you also have some warm tone, yellowy nude shades in here paired with it with a little bit of burgundy. So if you're more into the purples, burgundy shades, or you like a little bit of yellow nudes, this is a really pretty palette, super high quality. I love the new formulation of Ace Beauté's shadows. I didn't love their first round of shadows, but these new reformulated palettes are so good, and the formula is amazing. Very nice matte, very beautiful shimmers, smooth. They kind of remind me of the shimmers from Glamlight, so this is a really pretty one. And then the other one, which is called the Envy palette, which I, lean towards because it's more green, and it also has some blues. It has some cool tones. It has some warm tones, but this is another color story that's just a beautiful one for the fall, autumn, harvest season. I tend to wear a lot of greens, I mean, in general, but also during the fall. Like, I go extra green or like yellowy, mustardy shades. Those kind of tones I just really, really love and tend to wear. Like, most of my fall clothes is like olives, mustards, rusty oranges. I do have some like berry tones. Like, I just embrace all the fall colors, even in my clothing. So then the next category is palettes I put in the more nudie mixed with some muted colors. So the first one is the Cosmic Brushes Musée palette. This is one of the more colorful ones in the bunch, but overall I would say it's more nudie and the colors in here are more muted. But it has those kind of grungy greens in here, some of those like mustardy tones. Then there's also like beautiful cool tone greens, and then there's purple. And there's definitely purple in the fall season, especially like when you think of a harvest and like purple vegetables and even fall leaves. There's leaves that turn more of a purple shade. So I definitely think purple is part of the fall season as well. So this is really beautiful, nice and muted, very user-friendly palette. And it's gorgeous, it's stunning. And to me, it's more on the affordable end. I mean, it's around what? I think $25. But the quality in here is more like $60 quality. So that's why I say it's more affordable, because you're getting really high quality shadows for less. But I know affordability is relative, so it could be different for everyone. Then going on to Nomad Cosmetics, and this was their fall palette from last year. And did they not nail it with the packaging? And everything you're about to see is exactly what I think of fall. I picture this color story, this packaging. This was inspired by Hudson Valley in New York. Here it is inside. This is the epitome of fall, autumn, harvest, all those good spice vibes. When I open this, I think I'm gonna like just suddenly smell cinnamon and wood burning and feel a cool breeze in the air, because they have all the tones, the warm tones, the green tones, some red, some yellowness in here. You have a little bit of cool tone browns, but it's beautiful. So you do have that mix of nudes with like some pops of colors in here, and you get some cool tone options and some warm tone options. So this is really, really, really good for my nudie lovers. And then I have this one from Gourmand Girls. This was their like Halloween launch. It was a collab with Doodles by the Bunny. They're actually doing another like Halloween collab together. I cannot wait to see that. But I did mention this in my Halloween palette video I did last year, but I knew I had to mention it in a fall video as well, because I mean, Halloween, fall, it's in that autumn, fall season, leaves changing, pumpkins and all that. So you have these beautiful oranges. You do have some nudie shades. You have pops of purple. Like I said, you need some purple in the fall time. Then I got some red tones. So this is a great palette to go from like a more fall look or go into a more Halloween look. And then the next two are definitely, I would say, more on the nudie end than on the muted color end. So I have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics All Done Up palette. I could not do a favorite palette video without mentioning at least one Blend Bunny palette, but this was also their take on a more nudie color story. This one is definitely, like I said, a lot more nude. There's a few bits of muted colors, but they're on the very muted side. So this is great if you're just like a true nudie lover. You don't even want some pops of colors. And if you do color, they have to be in this range, not like over the top. So this is a definitely good option. There's a lot of matte, so if you're a matte lover as well. But it has this beautiful row of shimmers, and everything is excellent in here. Like, this is more of a nudie palette with a twist. Then the next palette, which is more on the neutral side, it's definitely more on the grunge neutral side with a few pops of color in here. But this is from Ensley. This is the Cosmic Dreamer palette. So you see there's a lot of muted tones in here, a lot of grunge in here. Like, oh, do you see that? It's beautiful. I love this. You got your greens, you got some oranges, some like yellow tones in here, but you have a lot of like taupey cool tone metallics in here. You do have some dual Star of the Mirror, and then like a few little bit of pops and like purple, but overall it leans a lot more muted and neutral, a little smoky. Now this to me is also a very user-friendly palette because the mattes are more on the buildable end. They're not super intense pigmentation like Melt, where it just goes in your eyes and you're like, damn, it's like bam color. It could be intimidating. These are more buildable, so you can adjust the mattes to what you're comfortable with, like how intense you want it or how sheer you want it. And this one is also heavy on satins, which is not my favorite formula, but if you prefer like satins or shimmers that are a lot more smoother because maybe you suffer from textured lids or you just like a more muted shimmer, you'll appreciate a lot of them in here. There are a few intense foils and I'm happy that they have those included. And then my last little category here are definitely my more colorful palettes, more heavy on the color. Some of these do have some neutrals mixed in. Then the next palette, which I don't think you can get anymore because it was limited edition, so this is just more of like a reminder to all of you that did pick this palette up, but it is the Adept Cosmetics Inspired palette. Honestly, I don't even feel like they had this for very long. Like, it was very limited, and it's one of the most beautiful palettes that they created. Like, the metallics are all these shifty dual chrome, multi-chrome shades, and then they paired it with these beautiful green tones. Like, this is probably like my number one or close to my number one because of the color story. But this makes me think of fall, and this is great if you love metallics. So all of you that did get your hands on this beautiful palette, you can create probably some of the most stunning fall autumn looks with this and have them be like more on the interesting side, because you have like these shifty metallics that are just going to catch in the light and have different tones. So you're going to have elevated fall looks is actually what I should say, because this is such a high quality metallic formula in here, and the mattes are really nice. Another palette, which I also think would be really good for the winter time, but this is more of a jewel tone, pretty colorful palette. This is the Nomad Royal Europe palette, but look at that. This is their first palette they ever did multi-chromes in it, and these are all those buttery, shifty multi-chromes. They're so high quality. Then they paired it with these beautiful like jewel tone mattes. You do have a little bit of like yellow tones in here. You have some greens, the berries, the purple shades, and how they set it up in these beautiful little like monochromatic rows. It makes it so easy to think of a look to put together. But this is so pretty. I feel like this would be great for the winter time too. And then I have another Nomad palette that is definitely, I think, more marketed as kind of like a summer tropical palette because it's inspired by Costa Rica, which I'm actually going there in like a few days. So I'm definitely going to bring this palette with me. But to me, the color story is definitely fall. This is their Monteverde Cloud Forest palette. The packaging is so like cute and tropical, but the tones, I instantly was like, this is a fall palette. This is a fall color story. This one has more of those like murky tones in here, and it's also heavy on greens, which is another reason why I love it, because I am a green lover. It's my favorite color to wear on my eyes. But then you have like these browny green shifty tones. You have some brighter pops in here. They're not true neons, but they are definitely on the brighter side. So if you're someone who likes to wear bright grungy shades in the fall, this is a good one. If you still want to be popping on your eyes, I think this would be a really great option. Then I have this one, which is more on a different scope of grunge. Not the usual where I think of like murky tones, but this is the Blend Bunny Sugar and Grunge palette. This is for like my grungy 90 chicks. Right? Don't you think of the 90s when you look at this? But these have more like pastel. They're more cool tone grunge shades. And then there's those lighter pops in here. But yet again, beautiful monochromatic rose. It has the reddy berry shades, some purples, some greens mixed with some neutrals, and a little bit of like peachy shades and some teal. But all good for this season. I mean, there you go. If you like some mix of lighter shades, you can tone it down with these lighter pastels. You have a lot of depth in here, and you have a lot of color options. Then the Glam Light palette, the Scooby-Doo palette. This is a beautiful, more colorful palette, but definitely leaning muted. There's a few neutral pops. I think just really these two are the nudie shades, so the rest are all color, which I really appreciate. And then there's some little bit of brighter pops in here. You see that? There's so many color options in here, and they're all more like fall tones. The orange, the berries, the purples, the greens, with a little bit of blue. The sparkly shimmers in here are gorgeous. The mattes are really easy to work with, and you have a lot of options. It's a big palette, so you could just use this all fall season and not need anything else if you're good with just more colorful shades. So now let's go over the two palettes that I said I was going to feature as honorable mentions. I haven't had either of these very long. They're super new palettes, so I want to test them out more before calling them favorites, but on initial impression, I really love these, and I'm sure they're going to become favorites. But I have the Nomad Cosmetics Ghost Town USA palette. This is their newest release. This is like their Halloween launch. Look at the image. I love that. But this is a super cool tone fall color story, and a lot of the ones I mentioned today lean more on the warm tone side, but this is mainly cool tone. There's a few warm tone metallics like this copper and these greens, but everything else is very cool tone. I think this would be a great palette to also transition into the like winter season, where I tend to wear more smoky cool tone shades like this. So this is a great transitional palette. And then the next palette is one that I'm actually wearing on my eyes. It is the Ipsy Cosmetics Pixie Grove palette. When I did my little review and filmed this look, I was like, I have to film something about fall, because this is the most perfect fall color story on my eye. So I had to share this with you guys today. I need to test it out more. I've only used it in my review video and my like first impressions, but I have a good feeling I'm gonna love it because the quality seems really nice in here. The mattes are great and pigmented. There's these beautiful foil shimmers in here, and look at this. This to me is the perfect fall color story, and I believe that this is their like fall launch, and they nailed it. And I love that they included minty shades, because I feel like most fall palettes don't have minty tones like this, but I feel like they just work and fit in this palette and add something different and makes it more unique and special. And then there's dual chromes in here. Like, I'm really impressed. Like, you see this look, right? It's so fierce. It is so good. So I definitely think this is going to become a fall favorite for me. So that was everything that I wanted to share with you guys in this video. Hopefully it wasn't too long, because I tend to ramble when it comes to talking about palettes, especially palettes that are more on the grungy side. I think that is what's mostly in my collection, because those are my favorite kind of colors to wear. So I just get really excited about this topic. But you guys will have to let me know, what are your favorite fall palettes? Or are you someone who just wears whatever they want, or you just stick to a set color story no matter what time of the year it is? I would love to hear from all of y'all. And if you are new here and you enjoy this video, you like a lot of fun, colorful makeup content, a lot on indie makeup and all that fun stuff, then please hit that subscribe button and join this little family. I'd love to have you here. Also, don't forget to check out the description below. I will have all the palettes linked that are still available if you want to check them out for yourself. And any videos that I did with these palettes, if you want to see them in action, see me create some looks, I will have my makeup linked, as well as the video linked of me putting this look together if you want to see how it was done. And I will also have my contact and my social media platforms. I'm also on Instagram as Breezy Lifestyle and Breezy_Beauty. So if you want to join my Instagram fam, I would really, really love that. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, for being here, taking some time out of your day to hang out with me a bit. I really, really appreciate it. And I just hope all of you are doing well wherever you are in the world. And I'm just sending you guys so much light and love. But until next time, bye guys.